Why can't I hear you?
As I was saying, were you there when
Stop
they
it.
crucified my Lord?
We have to now have a
Were
trigger warning
you
at the
there?
very beginning of this
Were
Good
they
Friday episode.
I'm a good Christian.
You're choking because the Lord is choking you.
Because I tried it. What I wanted to do is I wanted to take a big rip off my vape and then have like the smoke coming down over the cross, like in a mega church, so that people would be moved to give their lives to Jesus wept.
Oh, geez. Oh, geez.
Oh
We're
my god.
starting out
Oh,
strong. Friends, welcome to Your Favorite Ants, a
the
podcast
only
where,
podcast, the only
go
podcast
ahead.
where you might get a dramatic passion play before an irreverent podcast.
Yeah, that's true. You
I'm
might.
I'm Loretta Lynn.
Loretta Lynn. Have I already been Reba
Yeah.
McEntire?
Yeah.
Damn it.
God damn it.
I
Hold
just took a
on.
picture with the Loretta Lynn statue. I am. Why can't I ever think of anyone? You never give me the topic beforehand. I
I
have
don't
a.
ever have a topic beforehand. I just think it's literally off the dome. You think this is planned? If this was planned, it would probably be a lot better, if we're
I'm Willie
honest.
Nelson.
Mm-hmm.
I'm Willie Nelson, obviously.
Yeah, and this is your favorite ants.
And I
The
want to say that
podcast.
I'm Willie Nelson because, yes, go ahead. But I just want to say I'm Willie Nelson because I just finished my taxes, something that Willie Nelson never did.
So then
That's
you're
what,
not Willie Nelson. That wouldn't be a
well,
connection.
it's like a cute
If
little.
anything, I'm Willie Nelson because I smoke more weed than you.
That's fair. More is any is more than. Okay, so
Yeah.
what is your favorite ants? A podcast where?
A podcast where two slightly self-important individuals come together. Listen, anyone who has a podcast has to admit to being a little bit selfless. Like, yeah, I have something important.
Yes, that's fair. I mean,
Which is
especially,
okay.
yeah, and it is like your actual ants. Like, most of you
Yeah,
have at least one relative that is
yeah, yeah.
self-involved.
A little bit self-involved, self-indulgent, but also keenly aware of it, which I think is half the battle. Because it's fine to have an ego, just as long as you know how to
Mhm.
work with it. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, welcome to the show.
Exactly. We're so
We're
glad you're here.
here. I'm queer, and Sarah, how the hell are you?
Oh my gosh, I'm doing pretty well. It is a beautiful day. I started it at the beach, which was nice. Took my little dog for a walk, which was super fun. He loves the beach more than anything in the world, and then he just crashes the rest of the day. So
Beauty.
that's been really fun. Had a really fun meeting with someone yesterday that lasted like 3 hours, and like we really did business for about 10 of those. So I'm excited about some stuff that
The
I've
best
got
kind of
coming on.
business meetings.
Yeah, we just kind of hung out. Um, so yeah, I think that there's a lot coming up for me, which is exciting. But also, I will say one of my favorite parts this week is that I got to teach a class on public speaking to folks that were formerly unsheltered, who are now becoming public speakers to share their own stories with dignity in all kinds of different spaces. And I get to teach these amazing folks for the next 4 weeks, and it was just incredible. I loved it so much. Really felt in my element. Great to be back in the
The fifth
classroom, if you will.
element.
The fifth element. So that was really wonderful. Yeah. So I'm doing all right. I'm trying to figure out what Easter weekend is going to look like for me.
Oh yeah.
First year with no actual obligations, but I am thinking of potentially going back to the church that I helped to relaunch, or not. So
Yeah. 'Cause I'm like, take one Easter off. Do not go to church. I dare you, Sarah. When was
I
the
don't
last
know.
time you didn't go to church on Easter? Never in your whole life.
I think never in my whole life.
I dare you. What could you do instead that would be honoring? Both to, because here's the deal. I ain't got to be on church on Sunday. Now, granted, I will be on church on Sunday because I told Daniel I would play in the band. Even though it's going to be a ridiculous Sunday, it actually will probably be more wonderful. I am just a cynic even when it comes to my own church sometimes, which is weird, isn't it?
Mhm.
Um, but anyways, I dare you not to go to church on Sunday.
We'll see. It might mean something to me to go or not to go. So we're just going to see how that is. But I am doing well other than
Or it could be
that. How
meaningless. Either way. What if it's
either way.
totally meaningless?
I mean, that's kind of what our recovery episode was about, like finding meaning in
Mm,
places and spaces where you didn't used to necessarily, or not finding
mm,
meaning and
yeah.
being okay with either.
That's really the thing I think that we're coming up on is like so many folks. I've talked to a couple people right now who are like, yeah, this is the first time I'm not doing Holy Week with somebody or my family, or this is the first time I'm not going home for Easter or
Mm,
holidays that I usually go home for. It's just been really interesting to sit with people in that kind of grief. It's like Holy Week really takes on like a whole new meaning in a lot of ways
absolutely.
if you are transitioning faith.
Yeah, and one of the things that like I found out this week. So this week's the 5-year anniversary of my first book coming out, and 5 years
Yay!
ago, 5 years ago, my whole family flew into town. My brother met his partner there. Her and him met the first time. Right there we go. And I also got a message, ironically enough, from my publishing house that they are no longer publishing any of my books and that I'm allowed to buy them at a very discounted rate. So 5-year anniversary, weird feeling. But it has like a
Oh,
Holy
fuck.
Week. Wasn't that weird? Like just exactly like I mean,
Yeah,
it probably makes
very.
sense from
And on Good
with
Friday, no less. Holy
uh,
shit.
well, I found out about it earlier this week, but yeah, kind of dealing
Close
with those
enough.
feelings of like, oh,
Mm.
um, many people have said it would be better to work with a different publisher anyway. So there's that. But there is also that
Oh,
grief of like,
100%.
I know. There's also that grief of like, this is another way of letting go of my attachment to my denomination because it's my denominational's publishing house.
Hmm.
So there's all that. So I feel like I'm a bit of
Listen,
a mix of feelings these days,
yeah.
which it makes sense for Holy Week.
Mm. Yeah. I also would like to ask while we're here, anyone who's watching, how are you? How the hell are y'all doing? How's your
Can we
Holy
pull
Week? What's Easter like
can
for
we
you?
pull Colton's comment up, please?
Yes, because I think it's perfect.
I asked
Colton
God
said,
if I
I
should
asked
go to
God if I should
church.
go to
Go ahead.
church on Easter for the first time in several years, and then I tested positive for COVID. The first time this morning, oh, won't she
And
do
then
it? Oh, oh.
Colton, I'm so sorry. I hope you're feeling okay.
I really should not have hit that vape so hard before I got on here. God damn it.
How the hell are you now that you're coughing to death?
Mm. Beyond the slight inhalation issues,
Yeah, other than not being able to breathe.
I gotta say, I'm doing pretty damn good. Like, um, I it's been 2 months, and me and the boyfriend are still dating, and now we're calling each other boyfriend, and I find him to be a delight and a wonderful person, and I think it's really cute how he's subtly using his birthday to like come out to some of his friends because we're all going to go to Mary's later tonight, which is the queer bar that I love to haunt. And that was his idea. I'm like, ah. And so it's just really cool. I've really enjoyed it. I'm still enjoying it, and that's kind of new for me, and I like that. I also don't feel very anxious about it at all, which is also
No,
new for
you're
me because
so
usually,
light. You're so light in the conversations. Like you're holding things loosely, but it's really fun to be your friend and hear you talk about like it's just my friend Crystal
mm,
is also in this like super healthy, just totally honest relationship. And you just kind of love to hear it. You love to hear it.
yeah, yeah, it's definitely a wonderful thing because it's like we are creating just something very trusting, and also we deduce that if we ever lived together again, that we would definitely have separate bedrooms. And I'm like, oh
Yeah.
my god, I'm in love with you already. I'm deep lesbians. For his birthday, I cooked him steak and smashed potatoes and an arugula salad.
Wife, you.
Girl, here I am. I just want to be a good wife. That's what I want. Just a hoe.
Clearly.
I just want to be a hoe for Jesus, you know?
Oh, of course. How are things going work wise?
Good. We are finishing up week 5, going into week 6 of this cohort go around.
Ooh.
Which, speaking of, I have decided that I'm actually going to do 2 more cohorts this year, which I'm very excited about. So it's going to be a summer cohort that starts June 13th, and then a fall cohort that is when is it? September?
Oh,
September or
fun.
something? Yeah, September something through November or December 1. So like you'll be done before Advent. Um, but I'm really excited because, and the reason I decided to do this is because I'm seeing that this is a really good rhythm for me of like work, and it's also been incredibly effective for the people I'm working with
Mm.
right now. And it's seriously come from people's absolute willingness to just try. And it's really cool to see so many people experiencing so much spiritual growth in such a short amount of time, and also getting over their triggers and getting over the shit that's been keeping them up at night. And so I'm just fucking stoked, and I'm glad that I'm really excited to do it again. So if that's you out there, you want to hang out with me and do a little coaching thing through my cohort, you can go to thekevingarcia.com/cohort. It's dope. Come hang out. So that's
I
that's
love
where
that.
oh, book proposal is done. It is to
Yes.
the what's it called? Agent? Yeah. It's to the agent. He says it looks really good, and I'm gonna just I don't know whether my agent is like buttering me up to like really get me excited, or if he's telling the truth, but I'm going to assume that he's telling me the truth. He said he's like, I know this sounds crazy, but the way I want to frame it to some people is, there's talking about theology and life before Kevin Garcia, and then there's talking about theology and life after Kevin Garcia. And I was like,
Oh.
that seems a little presumptuous, but also if that's how
No
you
wonder you
feel,
came. No wonder you came on this call like I'm a little
oh,
important today.
oh yeah, my ego's through the roof. Like I'm just except for I feel like I've got actually like it feels founded just a little bit. So yeah, I'm feeling my zhuzh. I am ending the week strong. I feel pretty rested. And also I feel like I'm doing a good job of keeping like this is my problem. This is my business. This is not my business.
Oh, good.
And that feels
You're
nice because
keeping a good separation between the. Oh, the other thing that happened this week before we jump into our pop culture headline news is I got to see Semler show.
oh,
And they were incredible, incredible,
they
incredible.
headlined, right? And played like so much, like an
It
hour
was
set.
just their show. I mean, there was
Oh,
a
fuck yeah.
yeah, they headlined. There was a opener, but and got to see some of our mutual friends, which was really fun.
I thought that was the
Um,
cutest little video.
of us dancing. I at first didn't
Mhm.
realize what was happening. I was just smiling at her, not realizing that she was
It was
videoing
very
us.
cute, but you were like, I got you. You were boogieing.
We were having fun. Which is really fun too because I am not drinking until I run my half marathon in 2 weeks. And so
Incredible.
actually in a week, a week and a day, 8 days from now, I will be running 13.1 miles.
Sounds
And so,
awful.
I mean, it will be fun during, maybe after you feel great for sure.
But not
But the fun,
during? You won't feel good
uh,
during it?
no, no,
Oh, that is
right
okay.
before,
I think this is a difference between you and I, is that if I cannot enjoy something nearly the entire time, I do not want to do it. And I do not
yeah.
understand. I mean, because like when I was running and like, I enjoyed it like I really enjoyed it. So do you
Oh,
enjoy it when
yeah.
you're actually the act of running itself?
Kinda. It's weird. I love being outside. I love what it makes my body feel like.
Okay.
I don't love because I had COVID in January, I still don't breathe well. I don't love how that feels. Um, so breathing can be really hard when it's always been a little bit easier. So I love running. I love being around the people that I run with. So it's worth it to me. Even though like it about mile 10, I'm like, why am I still doing this? Yeah.
I want you to I mean, I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm just saying listen to that voice more because she's got something to say. Cuz
Although,
like
and then my like I love when the runner's high hits. It's pretty pretty great.
When does that hit?
Depends. Sometimes like mile 12.
So when you're
Sometimes,
almost done,
uh-huh.
why not
It
like listen,
depends.
just you're not selling this, Sarah Heath. And I don't
Actually,
have to understand.
after mile 3, I do start to enjoy it for a while, but then like mile 10 is when I'm like, ugh, I hate this. And then I don't know, it's just like a roller coaster of feelings. But I'm also running with one of my best friends, and I have an absolute blast running with him because I can tell him this sucks, and we just laugh. Like we literally like tell all the hills to fuck off. Like we have so much fun.
Okay, I feel like I have secondhand stress already from this, so I can't wait for you to be done and feel so good when you're done.
I will feel really good. So that is next
Yeah.
Saturday. So next Friday I can't record because I'll be flying.
Wow. Sounds like you don't have dedication. Sounds like you
Uh,
don't care about it. Sounds like I'm just kidding.
we'll figure it out.
Oh, I'm
Okay, we
joking. I
need
don't care. Like it's totally fine.
we'll figure it out. We have pop culture and headline news coming out of our ears.
We have a lot of things to talk about this week, people.
We sure
It's
do. Thank
it's been it's been an interesting and terrible week for many of things.
many of things.
Um
Where do you want to start?
many I'd like to let's just start at the top and just work our way down.
All right.
Oh,
Sounds good.
actually, yeah, we'll have like heavy and light all over the place in this list.
We
So
really do.
we'll do one from you, one from me. We'll just, go back and forth. Um, I just really want to say a big fuck you and middle finger to Caitlyn Jenner.
Uh,
You are the worst queer person to ever exist on the planet. You are the
wow.
you are you are caping for these straight conservative people who do not love you and are using you as a talking head because you are so fucking stupid. And I
Mm.
mean that. Your whiteness and your riches have blinded, I mean, I'll say blinded, have deceived you, have kept you from understanding fully and completely that they're laughing at you.
Oh yeah, you're their token 100%.
You are like, God. And it's just like, it's one of those things, I can't believe you can't see it. But at the same time, I can absolutely believe that she can't see it. So I just want to say, F you, girl. Also, you said in it you said that you were in favor of these anti-trans bills floating around through Florida and all these other states.
I
You
don't
said in an
understand that.
interview, she said in an interview that she knew that she was a trans woman at 7. And now you're saying that children can't know what their gender is? Fuck you, Caitlyn.
Right.
Big fuck you.
I would love to talk to Caitlin about those years between 7 and I'm not sure how old Caitlin was during the transition, but I'm
She
40s,
was in her 50s. No, she was in her
50s.
50s. Yeah,
Yeah.
she transitioned real late. Well, not real late. There's no wrong time that you're supposed to transition, but she did not admit or come out or doing anything like that until her late 50s, I think. In fact, let's Google it.
Oh gosh, yeah. I just think the idea that you are being used it just frustrates me so much against your own. I think it's like
It was April 2015, so 8 years ago.
okay. And so
Keep going. I'm sorry.
happy 8-year birthday to Caitlin.
Yeah, and also a big fuck you because it
Yeah,
basically
both
shows
hands.
that you can take the woman out of
The
something,
golf
but she
course.
guess she except for she's still on the golf course. And also one of the things she pushed was like, never mind. Let's just move on. Otherwise I'm gonna get stuck on it and I don't wanna stay stuck. Do you wanna hit the next one or you want me to hit the next one?
Well, the next one is about the Texas woman who got arrested and charged with murder after a miscarriage, even though there is no law against it. Can we talk about trauma inducing? Do you guys
Yeah.
know the number of pregnancies that end in miscarriage? Like I need you to
mm,
understand that it is way higher than you even know. So if you think it's high, it is
innumerable.
way higher. And
Innumerable.
there are a bunch of women walking around and men too, walking around with the grief of a lost child, and then you're going to charge them
with
I'm
murder.
so confused. With a
I'm
self-induced
not.
miscarriage is what they said.
Either way, I mean, that means that she didn't have access to the healthcare, and this is why it is so important to have
Mhm.
abortion as healthcare available to anyone who needs it. Because if they do not have it in a safe way, they're going to try to get it another way.
Yeah, it doesn't go away,
And
actually, the statistics tell us. The numbers
yeah,
don't go down.
so
And I think the hard part too is, like, there are there was a law in Mississippi that even if you had a stillbirth, you were required to have a funeral.
mhm. Um, speaking of other, like, Oklahoma currently tried to sign into law a bill that totally outlaws abortion as a felony. And I believe in Kentucky, there's a similar law that was passed. And then there's an anti-trans bill that was just passed that tried to, I believe it was also in Oklahoma, that said um, anyone who is basically helping a under 18-year-old get gender affirming healthcare in the way of puberty blockers or gender affirming surgery, that was going to be a felony as well. And thankfully, it's been sued, and there's an injunction that's being held against it until it can be voted on. But oh my god,
The thing I find
like,
fascinating, not fascinating, but, like, every psychological, like, organization, so, like, the folks who are, the therapist groups, the, like, psychiatrist
hmm
groups, like, they're basically the medical boards are like, "We gotta tell you that, like, the number of hoops that someone has to go through so that we're making sure we're not kind of affecting kids, like, we're not telling them," because there are kids who it is this, they're not sure. They're not gonna
hmm
do this on a kid that's not sure, and not on t
yeah,
you
and
know what I'm
also
saying?
yeah, and yeah, the actual way that someone going about getting puberty blockers is not to permanently stop them from doing something, but to give them a chance to actually figure it out. Because, for example, if you are a trans woman and you suspect that at a younger age you were like that, if you go through puberty, things change. Your voice drops, you grow hair on your face, and then it becomes very, very hard for you to possibly feel like the gender that you are because of those things. And so
Mm.
puberty blockers gives you a chance to slow down the process a little bit and figure out what you want to do. And I will say, point in case where everybody fucking loves her is who sings Malibu? Kim Petras. Kim Petras
Oh,
is a trans woman.
I didn't realize.
And you know why? Because her
Puberty
parents
blockers.
early on helped her stay on puberty blockers, which allowed her to transition in a way that has helped her be in the body that feels most good to her.
I just think
And
about,
it's just
like,
it's one.
one of my dear friends telling me about the moment that they looked in the mirror and saw themselves. Like, to look in
Mm,
the mirror and see a stranger and not, like, just my friend saying the words of, like, after they got top surgery, looking in the mirror and saying, "Oh, there I am." Like, I
mhm.
don't understand that. I don't know what that's like. You
Yeah,
know,
same thing with Miles. Like when me
mm,
and like Miles is my best friend. Miles is a trans man, and we both came out to each other as him as trans and me as non-binary. But I also was in a place for a long time where I was wondering if where I was going to end up, and I was so afraid to even ask the question because the fear was if I'm a trans woman and I need to transition, it's going to be so hard to pass.
yeah.
And I know it's just the fear kept me from
Mm,
even asking. And it wasn't around my safety and it wasn't around this. It was like, who's going to love me if I look like XYZ? Because I know how cruel the
right.
world is.
It's the, like, I want to look either fully myself, like, I
Hmm
wanna be fully whatever it is, and I don't want to, um
hmm
yeah, ugh, it's just painful.
Yeah.
It's painful,
So all that
and we're
it's
making
painful
decisions
enough
for other
as it
people.
is.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's painful enough as it is trying to figure out yourself in a world that hates queer people and hates trans women. Why are we making it harder for kids? Because in the end of the day, this is going to end up with more queer kids dying, period.
mhm, yep,
And that's all I want to say about that.
ugh, bad theology kills. Alright,
Ding dong.
this is a fun one.
Yeah. But, and I
Having
want
all of
to,
us thinking back on our past romances, J Lo and Ben
um,
Affleck engaged.
again. And I mean, like, go off. Like, I love how this is like this is the mood. Super duper serious. Let's take down the
Super duper.
patriarchy. Can you believe Jen and Ben are back together? Oh my god.
This is literally
Which
who we are in a nutshell. Just like whether or not we're recording, we're equal parts real deep and equal parts real light.
real stupid.
Real stupid.
But
Yeah.
yeah, so they're back together, and I just thought they love attention, don't they?
Oh, they love it.
But me too.
They
But
love
me
it.
too. Like, obviously, again, I have a podcast with my face on it that now has a video aspect to it.
Yeah, they love it. It's interesting. So I hung out with someone yesterday and discovered they know my ex, and that same ex came up when we were hanging out with our friends, and that same ex just keeps coming up, and not like me bringing it up. Someone's like, "Oh, then you must know," and I'm like, and it has that like feeling like I wonder if the whole time J Lo was like, and
Mm.
I wonder like,
Everybody kept
are they
bringing him
going to
in.
make who's making this movie? Someone is making this movie. This is gonna be
Mhm.
Hollywooded like out the wazoo, like the star-crossed lovers that eventually end up together. That's
Oh yeah,
happening.
the Lifetime original biopic of this is gonna be phenomenal.
Oh, yeah.
I can't
Mhm.
wait. I can't wait.
Mhm.
I deleted some because I just want to skip forward. Because
You're
time.
fine. Okay, go for it.
Um, the film Everything Everywhere All at Once, starring Michelle Yeoh of Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon,
Yes.
of many of her films, but just badass Chinese martial artist actress who's also in Crazy Rich Asians. Like, she is a comedy actress. She's a martial artist. She is a
She's
serious
so good.
dramaturg. She was also on Star Trek Discovery as
I didn't know that.
and yes, as a big old evil bitch. It was amazing.
It's the
Um, she is
cheekbones.
one of my she is one of my favorite actresses of all time, and this film is probably one of the best films I've ever seen. It's easily jumped into my top 10 favorite films ever, 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 ever. And I don't
My
evangelize for
friend
films much, and I'm evangelizing for this film.
Okay, so the guy I run with, he works for IMAX, and so he loves films. Went to film school, and we're running, and he was like, him and his wife had seen it the night before, and he decided he was going to try to explain to me the plot line, and then eventually he was like, "We're just going to go watch it." So we went and saw it.
Yeah.
We went for dinner, and we got to go to like a fancy theater because he works for IMAX, and we went and saw the movie, and I was like, "This is the weirdest movie I've ever seen, and I love it." Like
Yeah. It's so
so
many genres all in one.
and it a lot like Chinese immigrant friends of mine are like, I need you to understand what the certain like just the characters are so good. Like from
Mhm.
immigrant families, the
Yeah,
expectation, the
it's a
experience.
yeah, it's like it's a commentary on being an immigrant family,
Mhm,
what Chinese Americans face, about being a first generation American, and then also a queer person in a
mhm.
Chinese like in an Asian American family, and
It's
also to the
sci-fi.
bring
It's like, how the
it's
hell does it happen?
sci-fi. It's and so it's like all of these things, like, were different, theories about the multiverse and things that could happen and the
Right.
power of choice. And then on top of that, it's a story about reconciliation between a queer Chinese American daughter and her immigrant Chinese mother who is really trying her fucking hardest.
Well, it gives like she becomes a human, and I think in the first they just do a great job of the first 10 minutes, you're like, you hate her. You hate this mother. You're like, why is she so cold? And then you discover why she's so cold and what she's had to go through in this
Oh
whole
yeah.
thing. But you discover also, I just love this idea, and a lot of people have been putting this, so this is not a spoiler alert. Um, this is one of the films that has been created by people within millennial generations where parents apologize, and that doesn't happen
Yes.
in so many movies, because I think the generation above made parents dumb, where parents didn't know what was going on in the life of their kids because they were like, "My parents didn't," but instead, this is like all of us are awakening to this reality together, and I'm sorry I was
Mhm.
doing the best that I could with it, with the
And
reality
I'm
that
sorry
I
that
inherit.
even though it was the best, I see that it hurts you, and I'm sorry, and I want to do better starting now. And then they
Yeah, it
do
was
it.
beautiful. Oh, it was so
Oh,
beautiful. It was
I
so
want to say,
beautiful. I
like,
have
listen, if you
goosebumps.
want, if you want a master class on how to apologize to your kid, especially if they queer, go
If they
watch
queer.
this.
It's
Also, but
okay.
don't
Your
call
aunts recommend
whatever you
it.
do. Don't call. There's this moment where she does call. Actually, never. What I'm gonna let you watch the movie. Let me not.
Yes. Also,
So
it has
that's
data
my
from
event.
data from Goonies in it. And it's his first movie he's acted in a really long time. He's been directing. He's still been in the industry, but they
Mm.
pulled him out of retirement to do it, and he had a very good time. And I will say this because there are different versions of him. This movie, if
Oh,
anything,
he's so hot.
shows the importance of a stylist because he seems like two different people, and it's just a haircut and a pair of glasses, friends. It stylist, look, this is our superficial moment, but I'm just saying a stylist can help.
I loved it.
There, we said it.
You take the
And
next one because
then
I don't know shit about this, but I
okay,
love
so
what I
Boris
read.
Johnson, who is the British Prime Minister, and he's a bit of an idiot. He was pals with our former president.
He is the British Trump.
Yeah, a little bit. He is the first prime minister ever to be found guilty of breaking a law whilst being a sitting prime minister. He was fined for throwing parties at 10 Downing, and 10 Downing is the White House, during the worst part of the pandemic.
Oh yeah.
So
I didn't know he was actually going to get charged.
he got charged and found guilty. So he's fined. So there's like no jail time or whatever. But what it's doing is setting a precedent for sitting prime ministers to actually face charges. And I wonder what that's going to say about, for instance, our last president said that he could not ever face charges because he had
Mm.
been president, leading many to think he wanted to become president to try to avoid all his charges, all of the financial
That's
charges against him.
exact. What do you think? Listen, he is being subpoenaed right now and charged $10,000 a day when he doesn't turn over what he's supposed to turn over.
Really?
Yes, by a New York
Not
judge right now. I think they're still trying to figure out if they can do that, but just like it's apparently looks good.
it's
Crossing our
it's
fingers. I have
fascinating
no
to
hope
me.
though.
It's fascinating to me only because it sets a precedent, and I think it's going to have a lot of people going, "Oh, you can be charged," and maybe change their behavior. Maybe. I don't know.
Oh, doubt it. Doubt it. White men in power, do you know what they do? They will try to get away with it for as long as they can. Do you know why? Because it's thrilling. It is the power game is thrilling. As somebody who loves power, I know about this. And listen, if I would have
Listen,
stayed in the if I was still in the closet, I would be one of those bitches. I would be one of those closeted bitches who's using like my incredible charisma, uniqueness, nerve, and talent to work the system to my advantage.
I am so glad you're using your powers for good. That's why God made
Yes.
you gay.
Exactly, because
Otherwise, you'd be president, and all of us would be in trouble.
yeah, thank God I'm gay, honestly. Like all this, too much power
I know a
for a
song
straight
about
person
that.
to have.
um,
So yeah,
and our
anyways,
last
Boris
one,
Johnson lulls at you.
lulz, yeah, having to pay money. But here's the thing that's kind of funny, not funny, but like for instance, Prince Andrew having to pay the woman that he basically was a pedophile, this girl that
Mm,
we believe was sex trafficked. They paid her, right? Guess who pays that money? The money comes from the queen, and that money comes from taxes. So
taxpayers.
technically, yes, a lot of the money. So Boris will pay out of his salary, which is taxes. So technically, it's kind of funny because they don't actually pay,
I
but they
mean,
don't.
it's a
It's embarrassing, at least.
yeah. Honestly, you are embarrassing. Um, but yeah, last
Speaking of
thing.
embarrassing,
Speaking of embarrassing, Elon Musk is attempting to buy Twitter for $43 billion, like literally trying to buy the whole fucking company and taking it private. And I
oh,
really
to
don't.
knock up the stocks.
Yeah, to knock up the stocks, and also just like he's one of those people who likes to defend quote unquote free speech, aka like bullshit, like inflammatory, like
Oh, is that what he's trying to do?
I don't know if that's what he's trying to do, but like that's what like in the past, like he's he's not a good person.
No.
I'm just gonna say, like Elon Musk is probably a very smart person. I think that he has created a lot of things that a lot of people like, but he's not a good person. And him taking over one of one of the largest social media platforms, probably the one that has allowed the most people to do like organizing work. I just don't see it going well for any of us.
It is a little problematic when I think about, like, the international scope of it too, like, a lot of, like, atrocities have been, like, found because of Twitter, because it gives,
Hmm.
in states and areas that not like nation states, and areas
Hmm.
where, information can't get out. Twitter has been when people can use Twitter in,
Yeah.
sort of privatized ways.
And so like so think about this man who owns one of the biggest corporations in the world, the richest man in the world. Any sort of thing, like I can imagine him like any sort of piece that's published or any sort of criticism of him, that's an easy filter you can just put on there. Oh, we're not going to serve these tweets out to people. We're not going to it might be there, but no one's going to see it. That's technologically possible.
Oh, for sure, because they do already. You can pay to have your tweets seen by
You
more
can
people. You can yeah.
and also just like
It's
so
funny because a lot of people I know and love are saying that if the payment does go through, if it does happen, they're done with Twitter.
I mean, we'll see. I don't know.
I mean, I'm terrible
Um
on Twitter anyway. Me going off Twitter, 0 people would notice. I am not
yeah,
very good
it's
at
just like Sarah's like because of Elon Musk, I am leaving Twitter. And everyone's like,
You
"All
were on
right,
Twitter?
who are you?
That's
Who?
literally who?
Huh?"
Yeah. What
Now,
if
yeah,
Elon Musk is buying Twitter to make me famous on Twitter? That's not
what are
true.
you smoking? What are you
Nothing.
imagining?
I don't know.
um well, that about does it for our recap of the week. Our
Mhm.
if you've got a story that you think that we should be following, please send it to us on our hotline. Which, by the way, that kind of brings us to our next segment of the show. Before we get into the time of the show where we answer questions and talk to you and we give our decent advice, we want to say
Mhm.
take a second to like this video, to share this podcast, and also please leave us a rating for your favorite ants on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. It literally takes 2 seconds, and it helps us, get in front of more people. Honestly, the way that podcasts get around is if it gets shared. So share the link to this video and podcast when we come out on Monday. Share that too. It's helpful. And what's your other show that you're on? What's the thing that you do?
I do another show called Rev Covery, and if you could like and subscribe to that, that would be great. And I'm starting to work on bringing back making spaces. And so I'm excited about that as well. So, yep, like, subscribe, follow all of our friends on Irreverent. That would be awesome. Irreverent Media Group, um,
Yeah.
a group of
And if you don't,
individuals.
you hate people. You actually hate gay people if you don't do this.
You're ridiculous.
That's a fact.
I have one that came in. And it's more of a for your information. Uh,
Sure.
yeah, so, I wanna thank the person who sent this to us, is letting us know about a film that is going around, an anti-queer documentary from an organization called AFA. It's being shown in a bunch of churches right now. It's targeted at LGBTQ people and seeks to give people hope they can escape their non-cis hetero identities. Uh, it includes specific and detailed stories of child abuse and shared story after story of people turning away from their queerness because it was supposedly contributing to their psychological problems.
Oh my
This is a
God.
queer person sharing this with us, saying, "Your favorite aunts need to know about this because my father is a pastor and he's showing this to a bunch of people." And so this is going out as a bunch of churches are showing this right now. So if there's any way for you, if you see this being shown, um,
What's the name of the movie?
I'm glad you asked. Um,
'Cause that's the only thing you haven't said
In
yet.
His Image is the documentary.
Oh no, sounds horrifying. And I mean that in
And
all
then you
sincerity.
can and when I clicked on to find the name, a thing popped up that said, "Sign up here to stop President Biden's harming children with his trans support."
Cute. Well,
So
big ol' fuck you to them too.
I'm gonna tell you the guy. Oh wait, I'm gonna go over here. The guy that no surprise that the guy that leads this organization looks like this. It's a white man,
Tim,
Wildman.
that that man's gay.
Oh,
He,
for sure.
that man has a secret. Because the only reason you would go about making an anti-film like this, like, I'm just saying, Anyways, gross.
Yeah.
Um, Before we get into the questions, I also want to say go listen to my other podcast, Tiny Revolution. That's it. I want to pull up this cue right here that had this right here in the chat from Colton because I think it
Sure.
could be helpful. Says Kevin, were there parts of your evangelical liberation that were not enjoyable or painful at some points, but made you feel much better in the long term? Not a got you, but I was curious if it was just easy for you. Absolutely not.
There weren't parts for you that were painful?
No, there were like it was not easy for me, quote unquote easy.
It
Like
was when we
I
were
would
talking
say,
about running too. So I love this like metaphor. Good job, Colton. Because you said you don't like to do
oh,
things
is
that are
that what you're doing? No, we're not comparing my evangelical
no, they
trauma
weren't.
to running. No, 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 no.
I think it
Yeah.
just popped up the question in your mind, like, was it easy for you? Because you seem because the way that you hold life so easily now, I think it's
Mm.
important for people to know that wasn't the whole story.
Oh yeah, like I was tortured, in my heart and in my mind, like over 12, like really over 12 years of trying to change my sexuality actively and hating myself. And I think the hardest part of the evolution was, I mean, actually leaving wasn't the hardest part, if I'm being honest. And even rebuilding wasn't the hardest part. The hardest part in hindsight was actually staying there as long as I did. And so it's like, it's one of those things where it's like, I don't feel grateful for the struggle. People are always like, I'm so grateful for the struggle. It made me who I am. I'm not grateful for the struggle. You know why? Because that struggle almost killed me. I am
Mm.
grateful, however, that God built me resilient. I am grateful that I trusted my body enough to leave and just finally heard as clearly as he spoke.
I wonder, I
That's what
mean,
I'm
as much
thankful for.
I'm wondering, as much as it is a joke that it came out of the idea of running, but I wonder too if that's like you've learned to be sensitive to resistance in your body in a way that
Hmm.
that's why you only exercise in ways that feel like it's not fighting your body.
Hmm.
And
I want it to be
so
all
I think,
pleasure.
right, because you've sat in places where your body wasn't safe, and you can't do that anymore. And I wonder if, uh, it's just giving you this opportunity to, like, know your body because so many people are disconnected from their body and what
Mm,
their body is trying to tell them.
yeah. And so, but it wasn't like I was super sad and depressed because it was like I found meaning in this one thing alone and now this one thing was gone. So
Yeah.
it did take a minute to like rebound, if you will, to figure out, okay, what am I doing here? And eventually like it does become clearer. Um, you know, time, practice, and just a willingness to be as sad as I was. And that's the thing, it's just like people think that you walk away from something and you don't get sad anymore. You believe better things and like they try to sell us that lie in the church too. You just believe all the right things and just do what God tells you and you'll be happy. Nah, you're going to be unhappy anywhere you go because that's just the nature of life. There's suffering because we cling.
Oh,
And
yeah, yeah.
so just recognize that peaks and valleys all the time, forever and ever until you die.
I always like to think of, like, a timeline of, our life as like a heartbeat. Like, only when it's, like, flat are we dead, right? Like, if we don't have the peaks and valleys, like you say, we're not really
I
living.
that's
I know you
delicious
hate
and a
it.
little cheesy, but
But
I
it's
like
helped
it.
me because I have been taught my entire life that my life's supposed to look like a steady climb up, and
Mhm.
anytime it didn't, it was a problem, and instead
Right?
of like, "No, this is part of." I mean, in all honesty, that's one of the reasons why I have loved Holy Week because it is, for me, held meaning in like, Saturday is my favorite day where I sit and think about and reflect on the things that have been really disappointing, and I'm, like, still waiting for them to be better, you know?
Mhm. And
And I
then
think
they
that's
don't.
and sometimes I
Because
don't,
that's a whole
and sometimes I don't.
that's yeah, and being able to say sometimes they don't get better. Like, so
Mm-mm.
like,
Yeah.
I mean, that's like just like death in general for me. It's just like there's no comfort to offer somebody who has lost somebody. There's nothing that
Mm.
you can say there's nothing. Like even I'm
Presence.
here doesn't even that sometimes, at least for me, as like there is sometimes a grief that cannot be comforted in the moment.
Mm.
It's so powerful that it has to be felt. And I think I don't know. That's what Good Friday does for me. It's like I'm gonna feel all of it. That
Yeah, you
fucking
don't
happened.
bypass. 'Cause we were taught how to bypass our feelings and go straight to the resurrection. I mean, my God, Palm Sunday to Easter, it's parade to parade,
Yeah,
which is very much American. Like, we can't don't look at it.
yeah. I'm also just like it's so wild to me. I'm just like how much like Easter, how it's celebrated both like in the church aspect, but then also like culturally, how it's just like, oh, Easter bunnies, honey ham, and that's fine. I think the Easter bunnies and the eggs are dope because just like shout out to our pagan roots and whatever. It's just so weird. It is fucking weird, and people are just like, it's like the most commercial thing. People just do it. They don't even know what they're doing. And
Yeah.
I'm like, listen,
It's
when
just a
if I
rhythm.
ever have children on the farm, we're gonna have real ass eggs that we're really gonna die, and then we're gonna make that shit into egg salad. Ain't gonna be nothing in
Obviously.
there. It's just like it's literally you got to go find the eggs because if we don't eat. You
Wow.
know,
I love this, like, little pioneer woman for you.
seriously, I'm like let's and then like let's give thanks for the bounty of the earth because that's really what it is. Did you know that the name Easter they believe might be derived from like a Germanic spring goddess? The name roughly translates as dawn.
Yeah, actually, Go Home Bible, You're Drunk has a bunch of episodes on this.
Hmm. Yeah. Anyways, so I've got some cues from the hotline.
I'm ready.
Um, and let me just pull up right here. If you ever want to send us a cue, either in video, audio, or text format, you can go to bit.ly/your fave ants hotline. Or you can just click the link in both of our bios in our social media. You dig?
I dig.
Uh, Okay, so this one is from we're gonna say Miss JJ. That's their name.
Okay, Miss JJ.
Um, I this is a little bit long. It's not really that long. Recently, I was a little bit open. What? It says recently I was a little bit open, just a bit open with my parents. So it's like a little bit or a little more, just a little bit. Just a little bit open with
Mhm.
my parents about not going to church at that time and questioning the existence of God. To abbreviate, my mom passed off the conversation to the spiritual leader of their house, my dad, who I have history of
Uh-oh.
not feeling safe with discussing these things with. So I felt pretty betrayed. This is by email because that's the boundary I set. Still, I'm being told I might be in the grip of Satan and that treating my experience with curiosity versus quoting the Bible at me was too fluffy for them. That my pregnancy hormones were just messed up my thinking, that I've rejected God and my parents. Wow, they're really pouring it on thick. I ended up
Mm.
closing the conversation on spirituality with them. So my question is, what practices would you suggest to grieve my connection, honor my vulnerability, release guilt? Thanks, Miss JJ from Canada.
Ooh, Miss JJ from Canada. First of all, let me just say, do not ever blame anything on pregnancy hormones.
Oh my God. Like, okay, can I tell you right now? This is the definition of getting gaslit.
I was just gonna say the same thing. Like, they're just
Like
yeah.
they are gaslighting the shit out of you, sis.
I think you can release it because the thing you asked them to do was be curious. They weren't willing to do that, and I think that's unfortunately, let go of
That's the end of the
any
story.
blame. Yeah, let go of feeling guilty about it, honestly, if you can. I know it's painful and hard. I
Mm,
mean, these are parents, and you hope for better for them, and you're bringing a child into the world, and so that has some
mm,
implications too, because you want your child to be in a safe space when it comes to talking to their grandparents, and
mhm.
oh, you're having to draw really hard
Yeah.
boundaries. So I would say do some breath work, like seriously, just sit and breathe
Ooh, yeah.
and release because I don't
Mhm.
think you're gonna win this one.
Yeah. And also don't think about it in terms of winning or losing, perhaps, because I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
that's like That's how I tried to do it with a lot of my people before, and I had to recognize that these people. This is again like, first of all, personal safety and mental health is your number one priority. The
Right.
thing that has helped me, specifically, you said, what practices, what can I do to help work on this thing? A little bit at a time, and B,
Mm-hmm.
hold that boundary. Hold the boundary.
Yeah.
If they bring it up, you say, "Hey, I don't want to talk about this with you. And if we continue to talk about this, I'm going to leave or I'm going to hang up." And that's all you have to say. And if they start getting loud, it's like, "Hey, I can't talk to you when you're yelling, so I'm going to talk to you later." And then you hang up or you leave. Because at the end of the day, especially being that you are bringing a little BB into the world, it is very important that you keep your stress levels low,
Oh.
so that you can keep your body healthy, keep your mind right. And so baby knows that they're like coming into the world with the most awesome, safe, like, you owe it to yourself and to your baby to have your mental health in order, because that baby is gonna take your mental health for a ride. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
what I would do is like, A, keep the boundaries, 2, do the breath work, like you said, a little bit at a time. And 3, I would say this is like a healing level 30, like 201 or 301 level class. Um, After you have, like, you've established safety for yourself and you feel good about it, like, this is where we have to, like, I look at them and just like, what in God's name could have compelled them to act this way?
Mm-hmm.
And really just look at it. It's like, okay, I'm going to look at their whole story for a second. Based off of their lives, based off of how they're acting now, it stands to reason, and I'm making an inference here, that they have been indoctrinated into a really fundamentalist sect or denomination or belief system within Christianity. That's it. Like, I got to look at them and say, "Oh, they're indoctrinated." Oh, they literally physically do not have the means of changing their mind because they're acting textbook. Throwing the Bible
Mm-hmm.
verses at you, saying that I can't be soft on you. This is because for them it's life and death. For
Right.
them it's heaven and hell. And so your
And
job in this is to hold yourself in heaven,
mhm.
if you will,
And
to
then
not let them drag
unfortunately
you
that
into the hell of their own stress.
well, and unfortunately they're also they think they're doing this out of love.
Hmm.
And that's the part that hurts the most is you feel like they're choosing their beliefs over you, but they actually think they're choosing you. And sometimes that's helpful to
Hmm.
remember like they think this is loving. They have been taught there is a pastor somewhere telling them that
Hmm.
the way to love someone is tough love. God
Hmm.
doesn't want to leave you the way you are, that kind of stuff. And so um you gotta kind of I love that idea of kind of humanizing, but also like
Hmm.
recognizing like, okay,
Yeah,
this is that.
I get it. He's like, I get it, and I don't have to tolerate it. Like, that's the thing.
Yeah,
It's
I
like,
can get it. I can
what?
get it. I can have empathy for it. I can have grace for it. And also, I can say,
Hmm.
not today.
Yeah. And what's really lovely about being able to like take a step back and like kind of like, I'm it's like you don't have to be afraid of them. Like,
Mm-mm.
they want you to be afraid of them. They want you to like buckle under the pressure, but they're just humans like you. There's a point in our life where we have to start treating our parents like people, and
Mhm.
to honor them as our parents when we're older and you're having a baby, you're becoming a parent yourself. You got to treat them like people, and people you get to say no to.
Yeah.
Period. And it's like, and what I would do is if someone is unable to treat me with kindness, the boundary I set is like, hey, being around you right now feels terrible. You make me stressed out. You make me question your love for me. You're mean to me. And I don't like that. So here's the deal. Either this has to improve and we stop talking about religion altogether, or our relationship is going to have to change. And you don't
Hmm.
even have to say anything else. If this does not stop or if this does not change, if I can't get XYZ things, our relationship is going to have to change. I have used that before. It does all the work because you know exactly what you mean. It means I'm not going to come around as much. It means I'm not going to talk to you as much. And if they want to question, it's like, what does that mean? I'm like, I don't know. You want to fuck around and find out?
Yeah.
Dead ass. Dead ass. Wow, I'm feisty today.
I love it. What's our next question? Also, we're with you in this. Know that you aren't
Oh
alone. A lot of
yeah.
people have had to sever tough. I think it's the thing I'm really aware of. Having a really healthy relationship with my parents is
Hmm.
probably the wealthiest thing about me.
Yeah. This one is from friend Hannah, who via text
Hannah.
message asks, "How can churches create safeguards to prevent abuse and harassment from happening, and how can they keep leadership accountable?" So there's two different questions here: safeguards to
Ooh,
prevent abuse and keeping leadership accountable. Oof.
there is really great like training available yearly through an organization called Safe Sanctuaries. And in order to get even really good insurance, you have to go through Safe Sanctuaries. But it's a really good training to help those who are working on church staff learn, like, because there is, what is harassment and all that kind of stuff, and then
Hmm.
there's a quiz at the end of it. So that's a good resource to look into. Safe Sanctuaries. Um,
Hmm.
the truth is like the culture you create, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah. All the way from the stage to who's greeting.
To the Yeah, I would say that. Like, it's one of those things where it's just like, how can we prevent 100% of crime?
Yeah.
Impossible. And it is less likely to happen in spaces where it is talked about, where we're saying, where people know if something happens, you can come to this person, this person, this person to talk about it. If you need help, go to this person.
And that person then has the kind of training either through State Sanctuary or something like that to
Mhm.
know what their job is and what their job isn't. So like for me, every year I would have to get approved so that I would know, okay, here are the steps, here are the numbers I call. I don't get to
Mhm.
decide whether I think this happened or not. If someone tells me it happened, it happened. Now, the thing is a lot of people don't get that training. So then they think, okay, well, they kind of take it on themselves if they're leaders. And
Mhm.
so that kind of stuff, you really have to train your entire staff on this.
Yeah. The second part on like how do you hold church staff accountable? That's also going to have to be. I mean, because here's the thing: within evangelicalism, without a denominational overhead and a hierarchical church staff, it's very hard to hold leadership accountable because it's built like an organ. It's built like a company.
Mm,
Yeah, and in companies, the president, the person at the top, it's about their bottom line. They're the one getting paid the most. They're the one that's in charge of the vibe, et cetera, et cetera. So the answer is you got to make sure that the leadership structure has got those things in place. And some people say,
checks
"Oh,
and
well, there's
balances.
elder boards." There's elder boards to do that. Who votes the elder board in? And does your pastor sit on the elder board also?
Ooh, great question.
Like, you need to know about your church structure.
Yeah,
And if
that's
you
great.
don't, that's a problem. You got to figure out who is in charge and figure out where the power lies.
Right.
Churches that are clear about it, all those churches that have a billion bazillion meetings, they're the ones who actually are probably have a lot more safeguards against this stuff because the congregation is in charge still. And that's what I think like people will need to move towards is like, who are we as a community? What do we think our call is as a community, or like what we want to do as a community? And like that's what I'm like, like a person or a pastor or a leader or whoever is just meant to keep the container. They're meant to hold the energetic space and then let everything else run itself.
Yeah, that's hard to do, especially because people are so busy right now. I think it's hard. It's a hard job. It's hard. It's hard out there, pastors.
Yep.
Cling to the old wooden cross is what.
That's not even the fucking hymn, Sarah. Come on. The old wooden cross?
Isn't that what it says?
I will cling to the
Rugged.
old. Thank you. Come
Rugged.
on, man.
All right.
You ain't a
Guys, I always
Christian.
get no, I
You
always get
ain't a
lyrics
Christian.
wrong.
You ain't love Jesus. You ain't love
Uh,
Jesus.
I always get I get every lyric wrong. We know this. We know this
It's
about
okay.
me.
How are
Friends,
you gonna judge? Like when we go to theology beer camp and judge the competition, how are you gonna know if they get the lyrics right?
I'm not. I'm gonna have to read them.
But also, I'm very excited. Like this is unofficial but mildly official. But um, I'm probably gonna be at theology beer camp with this Trip Fuller's deal, and I think you should come too because then we get to judge the Masked Singer karaoke competition.
It'll be so good
Yeah, and I'm
for sure.
coming as oh my god, I thought of a really good drag name the other day before we switch gears or leave. because it's coming to the end of the line. It's coming to the hour. We don't want to move beyond that, but I do want to talk about this idea I had.
You're
It
dragging.
is, oh my God. Are you ready for this? Ladies and
I'm
gentlemen, welcome
ready.
to the stage, Gagatha Christie. Gagatha.
I love you.
It's
I love you
sickening.
so much. I love you so much. It's good. It's good. That's good.
Yeah,
Gagatha
Gagatha Christie
Christie.
might be. If it's not Free Barabbas, because like that's a little niche. I do like a name Freeba, but
I do
Gagatha
love Frida.
Christie is like I looked it up on Instagram. I don't know if there's a drag queen out there named Gagatha Christie yet.
Timo just wrote no. Drag
Wow!
them.
Thanks for that. Listen, I'm gonna live my drag dreams, and I'm gonna be whoever she wants me to be.
I
Okay.
like I love Gagatha Christie, but I
Listen,
also love
thank
just
you.
no.
Yeah. Yeah, chat function suspended for everyone. You ruined it.
And then sorry, Kevin, and all the hearts after.
You think this makes up for it? Timo Lee. We got things to talk about.
I love it.
No, you don't have
I love
you don't
that
have
this
to
is how
let
we end up the show.
yeah. Okay, so as per usual, please follow us on all the social medias. I'm at the Kevin Garcia. Sarah is at Rev Sarah Heath.
That's me.
Listen to our other shows, The Tiny Revolution and Rev Covery. Go buy my book, Bad Theology Kills. And if Sarah's got any extra books, maybe she'll sell them. But
Yeah.
if not,
Yeah, please buy my books off Amazon.
but guess what? Don't worry, because I feel within the next 2 years, you will have a book deal and you will publish again. And it's going to be a seller on the LA Times. Wait, hold on. A bestseller on the LA Times and on the New York Times. This is what I predict, and this is what I want, and this is what I dream.
I love it. I love that my relatives from England, I posted about having a difficult time with this. My amazing relatives from England were like, "You're a great writer. Like, don't let them get you down."
Yeah.
I just love it.
I just want to say, Sarah, you got low key screwed.
I know.
I want to name that. They screwed you. And that's fucked.
I mean, they gave me a cool opportunity to publish in the first place. I loved my editor. He's incredible, but the system really wasn't great. And they definitely didn't advertise. And then they definitely left it up to me to figure that out, and I made a very small percentage. So yeah, not great. Not great.
Well,
Friends.
blessed Good Friday to everyone. I hope that your Eastertide is delicious. And I hope that if you're watching this on here, you're not completely traumatized by a rotating crucifix. And if you're not, go watch the video on my YouTube because it's kind of iconic. There is something wrong with me.
Iconic.
It's called Christianity. Iconic. Oh my God. Also, if you're wondering if my religious upbringing, that's actually, no, let me just say this. I'm a homosexual and I have an uncurable disease called Christianity. That's all I have to say.
Incurable, not uncurable.
Oh, don't go after my grammar.
I'm terrible at grammar.
I am from the South. It is uncurable. All right, anyways, thanks guys for showing up for another episode of Thank you for showing up for another episode of Your Favorite Ants.
Your favorite ants. That's who we are.
That's who we are. We had a great time with you today.
Have a great weekend.
Goodbye.